Most online coaches know Google Calendar is a powerful tool, but few actually set it up the right way. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to set it up for maximum output and productivity so you can achieve more while working less hours and unlock the bandwidth needed to focus on the stuff that really matters. This video isn't about teaching you a morning routine or time blocking technique. It is a hands-on tutorial where I will walk you through the actual settings and how to exactly set up Google Calendar from scratch so it's optimized and becomes a tool that works for you and integrates seamlessly to your daily routine. Most online coaches already use Google Workspace, Gmail, Drive, Slides, Sheets, and of course Google Calendar. Since Calendar is already a part of the toolkit, you might as well learn how to set it up properly and actually maximize it. That is exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. If a 40-minute tutorial can save you hours or even days over the course of a year, then it's worth investing those few minutes now to set it up and get the ROI later. And if you want to see how I actually use Google Calendar once it's set up properly, check out this video next where I'm going to walk you through my process of setting up my routine for maximum productivity and peak performance, where I will show you exactly how I use the calendar as I launch and scale a new coaching business that hit 6 figures in the first month of officially launching a new offer, plan my wedding, and get in shape as I have done in the past, all without dropping the ball. And you're going to be able to find the video linked here somewhere in the screen if I'm able to figure that out, or if not, I'm just going to leave it in the description below. All right, let's dive right in. So what you can see here right now is I'm going to start from scratch with an account that has never been set up before. So you can see the default settings as if you were literally just starting. I literally just created this account or this user a couple of minutes ago, the tutorials at eduardolew.com, just that tutorials username to create these tutorials. It is important to mention that I am using a paid Google Workspace account, which pretty much means that I have my own domain and I pay a monthly subscription to unlock some pro features with the full suite of Google Workspace tools and what it has to offer. If you have a free Gmail account, you are still going to be able to follow most of the stuff that I'm going to share here, but there are going to be some features that you'll see that might not be available to you. So literally gonna pull it up and I'm going to start showing you. So first thing is, if you don't know how to get there, I probably know by now, but you can just go get to your calendar directly from here. So I'm just going to click here. We are actually going to go into the settings and start setting it up. Now, it is important to mention that the stuff that I'm going to share with you, these are recommended settings, what I've seen work better for online coaches, people with online businesses. But some of the settings depend on personal preferences like notifications and times. So I just recommend that you watch the training and set it up in the way that works best for you. Another important thing to mention is that changes save automatically, so you don't have to worry about saving the changes once you go to the settings. So we're going to go straight into the settings to start setting it up. You can do this in multiple ways. You can just go here, click the gear icon and go to settings, or if you click S, it takes you directly to the settings as well. So those are the quick ones, just a quick shortcut that saves time. So first thing, when you come into settings, you want to go into the general tab. And the first thing is selecting language and region, date format, and time format. These are my personal preferences, but I know people in the US usually prefer to have, so actually, sorry, this is my personal preference, day and then month. That's how we do it in Mexico. That's how I'm used to. But most people in the US prefer to do it this way. So you can set it up in any way that works better for you. Time format, you can choose either the AM, PM, or like the full 24-hour, however you say that, spectrum. Of course, your country, just where you're based, and the language. So once you have that, you want to move into time zone. I do recommend toggling on the display secondary time zone, and I'll show you in a second what that means. So I can actually show you the difference right now. So I'm going to leave it off, come back here, and as you can see here on the left, we only have one column with the primary time zone. So if I go back to settings again with S, I just click S on my keyboard, and I toggle this on. Haven't selected one yet. Let's just select whatever. One real quick. Let's just do LA, like Pacific, just for a second. So as you can see now, we have two columns here, right? The primary is always going to be the one that is like closest to the calendar. And then the secondary, which usually I recommend putting the one that you use the most. In my case, I usually put Eastern time because that's like the time zone that most people, I have a bunch of clients, people that I work with that are in Eastern time zone, but also even for people in like Europe, which I have a bunch of people there as well that I'm working with, like Eastern time zone is like a good reference. So I just like to use that one because every time that I tell someone like, hey, let's meet at X time EST, like it's easier for people or it's a good reference. But again, I just recommend adding a secondary time zone, whether that's the one where most of your team is at or most of your clients. So for me, as I said, I like to use Eastern. So I'm just going to scroll down. Let's just look for New York. So there we go. Scroll all the way down. New York. And then what I'd recommend is adding labels. So here, Mexico City, just going to use CDMX. It's like how I reference Mexico City. And then label here, just like to put EST. Let me just show you the difference. So before I put that label. So if you add the label, literally changes it. If you don't add the label, just leaves it at GMT-4, which is a bit complicated, not that straightforward. So I just like to label it. So yeah, EST. So as you can see right now, I have CDMX, which is primary time zone, and EST. And you can actually see the difference, right? Like right now, I know that 1 p.m. for me is 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's very easy for me to reference that. And then I do recommend leaving on the ask this checkbox that says ask to update my primary time zone to current location. So basically what this does is, I don't know if you've seen this before, but if you're traveling, and let's just say you're in a different time zone, as soon as you open your calendar the first time that you're in the new time zone, you get a pop-up here somewhere that asks you like, hey, would you like to change your time zone to this place, right? So I recommend leaving it on because you can always select yes or no. Like it doesn't change it automatically, it literally just asks you. So I do recommend leaving that on, just enabling this. So that's pretty much it for time zone. Now for world clock, I do recommend enabling it. So just checking this box right here. And what this does, and let me show you. As you can see here, not yet, we need to add one. So right now, as you can see here, below the calendar there, or the month, there's nothing here, right? But if I go back to the settings, and if we add a time zone once this is enabled, and let's just, I'm gonna leave Mexico. I'm gonna also leave New York. It's not there yet. Eastern again. And then I'm gonna also add all of the US time zones just for me to be able to reference them properly. So then let's just do Central, which should be Chicago. And then let's just do Mountain. Let's go to, where is it? Let's just do Mountain Time in Denver. And then let's just do Pacific again, so that we have all of them there. And I mean, why not? I'm gonna add in Europe and UK because I have some clients there. Actually work with some people that are based in Colombia, so I can already go ahead and add that. I also at some point worked with someone in Ecuador. So I literally, what I did is like every time that I worked with someone in a different time zone, I just added it here, and I'll show you in a second why this is useful, right? So for now, let me just keep it like this. You can always like remove them and add more. Well, let's just add one more. So Europe, just to show you the difference here, or the UK. So if I keep scrolling down, we should see it somewhere. So this is UK, and then let's just do Europe, Madrid. So if we go back, as you can see, this is a world clock, right? So right now we have all of this. So you can immediately see displayed here, right? All of the world clock or the time zones that you added. And again, I don't think there's a limit, if I'm not mistaken, of how many you can add. If we go back to the settings and you scroll down, these are all the ones here. So you can add, remove them super quick, and you'll see them here. And let me show you real quick why this is such a cool feature that a lot of people don't use. So right now, as you can see, it's just showing the current time, like the local time here. And what this is in all of these different time zones that I have here. But the really cool thing about it is that if you create a new event, so for example, if I'm planning with someone, I'm like, hey, would you be open to meeting on Friday? And they ask me, cool, which time works for you? And I know that it's 10 a.m. my time, but it's someone in, I don't know, in Spain, Europe, or the UK. Let's just use the UK as an example. And I'm like, don't want to do like the math. If I literally just click and create an event here on Friday at 10 a.m. my time, I want you to see how here it's now showing me when you have an event selected, it shows you the local time or what that time would be in all of the time zones that you have here. So in my case, 10 a.m. as I created this event, as you can see immediately, it's 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Spain. So it's like really, really useful feature, especially if you work with people across the globe to do that. And also if you already have an event created, like something there and you're curious, like, oh, you were like, oh, what time was this? Like someone else, later. Someone else's time zone, you just click on it and just want you to pay attention to this part. Not now getting all of those pop-ups because it's a brand new account, as I shared, right? So right now it's just showing me the actual local time, but if I click on the event, it changed, right? So that's a really cool feature. So now that's why I recommend having the world clock, especially if you work with a bunch of people across the globe. So that's that setting. Then if we go down to event settings, here default duration, I mean, it's just pretty much if you create an event. So if I go here and I click create event, the default is an hour, right? So that's what this means pretty much. So this depends on what is your, like the length of the events, the meetings or the stuff that you put in your calendar. What's the most common or usual event? For me, 60 minutes is usually the one that I use the most, or 30 minutes. So if you change that, and again, just to show you the difference, you click event, as you can see, the default is now a 30 minutes. So this is for you to select whatever you default to. For me personally, 1 hour works. So I'll just leave 60 minutes. And then guest permissions. So this is a very personal one. This basically means that if you enable this that says modify event, this allows people that are in a calendar invite. So if you create an event and you invite someone for a meeting and this is toggled on, it allows guests to modify the events without having to ask you to change and approve, or sending an email like, hey, something came up, I need to move it. So if you're someone that like has all of your calendar really well set up and like you only have the open spaces from the slots that you could actually take meetings, I do recommend toggling this on, because in that case, then if someone does need to move a meeting with you, they don't have to do this inefficient back and forth, and they can just go ahead and move the event in their calendar, looking at your availability and just putting it in a slot that they can see how available. But if you're someone that doesn't like use yet or uses already Google Calendar like fully, like literally have everything there, I recommend having this off, because then this could create even more problems of just letting someone move the event without asking you, and they put it in a place where you did have something but it wasn't in your calendar. So that just creates more problems, right? So this is what it allows. And you can also define if you want to let guests invite others and see the guest lists. These are the defaults. So this, if you change this, is going to be the default for all of the events. But even if you leave them like this, you can change the settings in individual events. So let me just show you. If I go here to this event that is already created, the default is what you had in the settings, but then you could move. So if you want the default, because in most of your events, you do want people to see the guest list and be able to invite others, just leave that on. But if you have a specific event that you have a meeting with some people that you don't want them to be able to invite others or see a guest list, you can change it for that specific event. So just for you to know that this is in the settings, like changes that affect every event as a default, but you can change individual ones. So that's pretty much for permissions. There is one setting under event settings that you might be able to see or not. I currently cannot see it, but I'll show you why in a second. But this is a checkbox that says something along the lines of automatically add Google Meet video conferences to events I create. I recommend disabling that if you don't want that link to be added. Pretty much what that means is that if that is toggled on, every time that you create a new event and you add other people and you're gonna have a meeting, it automatically adds a Google Meets video. I personally use Zoom, as I know most people in this industry use or prefer Zoom as well. So if you do use Google Meet, you can just do that. But if you use Zoom, I can show you later how you can add a Zoom add-on that creates a Zoom link meeting in the event. But I recommend leaving that off, because it's just annoying every time that you create an event. If that is left on, that you have to delete the Google Meets video. I've seen a lot of people have that issue where they create an event and they add the Zoom link in the description, but in the location, because this thing was still left toggled on, it creates a Google Meets link. So the event invite has the Google Meets link and then the Zoom link, which causes a lot of confusion. So I recommend leaving it off. Now, the reason why I cannot see this is because in some cases in paid workspace plans, if you don't see the option available, is because it has to be done at the admin level. So this user right here that I'm showing you, which is the tutorials account that I just created, is managed by I have a main, like an admin email that can make changes at the admin level. So just to show you, if that is your case, what you're seeing right here right now is like the actual admin console. So from the admin user, you have to come to the console, and then you have to come here under apps to calendar. And if you click here on the part that says sharing settings, and if you go here, it's this part that says video conferencing. Make Google Meet the default video conferencing provider when available. I just turned it off. So I had to do that at the admin level, which is why I cannot see it at the current level. But again, for some people, you're going to see it here. I recommend disabling it if you don't use Google Meets. If you have paid workspace like mine, you can just do it from the admin level directly. So that is for event settings. And again, in adding invitations, I recommend from everyone. This just basically means that if someone invites you and you click here only if the sender is known, or when I respond to the invitation in email, it's not going to show you the calendar invites from everyone. And I mean, in a lot of cases, I'm assuming you're getting invites from people that you don't have added in your contacts. So it's just better to leave it on from everyone. Then under notification settings, this is a personal preference. I personally have all of my notifications off in my calendar either way, and I prefer to have them off. So I just turn this off, and yeah, pretty much doesn't annoy me at any point. But if you do use the notifications in the calendar, you can leave either desktop notifications on, and you can set here if you want for it to play notification sounds, at which point you want to get notified from that alert. So you can select your desktop notifications or alerts. I personally like to leave this off. And then that's it for notification settings. So now for view options, here's what I recommend. I do recommend toggling on showing weekends. So pretty much just to show you the difference right now, as you can see, we have Sunday and Saturday. And if we go back to the settings, and if we go back here, and if I turn this off, now it's only going to show us Monday through Friday. I personally do use calendar also for weekend stuff, related stuff, and as most of the people that I've seen in this industry. So I just recommend leaving that on. I personally, right now, I have this on in case I send an invite to one of my one-on-one clients or another type of call right now, and someone declines it. I just like to have the visual of, oh, this person declined the call, which then allows me to then just reach out to them and ask why. Because if they just declined it and I didn't have this on, it would immediately remove the event and I would not notice. So for me, this has just been working well right now, but there was another point where this didn't make sense for me and I just removed it. So again, it's a personal preference. Completed tasks, I do recommend toggling this off. So if you're someone who uses tasks, which is another tool from Google Workspace, your tasks are going to appear here, and I can create, if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments and I can create another tutorial on how to use tasks combined with Google Calendar. I'm not going to get into that right now, but if you do use the tasks, I personally like to have this off so that as soon as I complete a task, it is no longer in the calendar. Because if you leave this on, even if you complete a task, it's still going to leave it in your calendar. And for me, as soon as I complete something, I want it out of sight, out of mind. So I just leave that off. I do recommend showing week numbers. So just to show you what this means is like literally in this part of the calendar, as you can see right here, these are the week numbers, which is pretty much referencing to which actual week of the year we are using right now. For me, it's very useful just to have reference of which week of the year. And when I do like my strategy sessions and I'm planning my week, I can reference like, oh, this is for X week. And it's also like a good reminder of, well, how much we have left of the year, right? So if this is off, just for you to see the difference, like you don't have this here. So I recommend adding that, toggling it on. So we're going to leave that on. Then this one that says display shorter events, the same size as 30-minute events, I recommend leaving this off. This means that if you have an event that is 15 minutes long, it's going to show it as a 30-minute event. In my case, I do add sometimes a lot of 15-minute stuff like commuting or something like that, because I try to track everything in my calendar and I don't want that to be messed up. So I leave this off. Reduce brightness of past events. I do recommend leaving this on so it doesn't, like, it's very clear visually the events that already happened. So just to show you the difference, if this is off and I add an event here that already happened and here, like these events, as you can see, have the same brightness as the ones that are coming up. But if we leave that on, what happens is that all of the past events, as you can see, it reduces the brightness. So it's like visually, once you have everything mapped out in your calendar, it's just clearer and more cleaner way to just know what already happened and what's happening, right? Without having to think too much about it. And then last thing, I do recommend leaving this on, viewing calendar side by side in day view. So pretty much this, what lets you, if you're here in day and you have multiple calendars, it can show you right now, because I only have one, it's not showing that to me, but like it can show you two calendars side to side. So again, I mean, something that if you don't even use, even if it's on, it's not going to change anything. So I do recommend having it on. It's really useful when you do have two calendars. And then in this last bottom part for the view options, starting week on, it's just pretty much when your week is going to start, like the first day that is going to be here at all the way to the left. Pretty much just gives you three options: Sunday, Saturday, or Monday. I personally like to have Monday, and so as you can see, it starts with Monday here, so I can have a clean look at the entire week. But some people do like to have Sunday and then Monday and Saturday here, and some people do like to start with Saturday and Sunday here and then the rest of the week. Personal preference. Again, you just have to select the one that works better for you. I personally like Mondays more. Set custom view. So you can select here a custom view, and I'll show you in a second how you can use it. Pretty much what you prefer: 4 days, 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. I'll show you in a second, but let's just say my personal preference is 3 days. And what that means is if you go here to view and you click here, this is the custom one. It just shows you like 3 days. So if I want to zoom in, for me 3 days works well. Most people do either 3 or 4 days. So just to show you, if you change this to 4 days, how it would look like. So that's pretty much what that means. So you can use 3 or 4. That's what I recommend, whatever works best for you. And then that's pretty much it for alternate calendars. I've personally never used this, but I think it's just if you use like a different type of calendar, like Chinese, Indian, Hebrew, Persian, whatever, like that are different, just use that. Personally, just have never touched that. And that's pretty much it for the view options. Then for this part of Google Workspace Smart features, I recommend leaving this on. This pretty much means, as it says here, that if, for example, you book a flight or a hotel and you receive an email, Google has very smart features. And again, because all of these tools are connected, like your Gmail to your calendar, it automatically adds it to the calendar. So you can just leave this on and set the privacy to only me. That's usually what I recommend, so that no one else can see this except for yourself. And then you can, if you wanted to, in the individual projects or events, select to give access to other people. So for working hours and locations, I do recommend toggling this on. This pretty much allows you to define here what are your usual working hours, which, as you'll see in some of the other videos where I'll show you actually how I use the calendar, I do recommend having like a container of the workday. And it also enables a couple really cool features, especially for the pro workspace users, for time insights and stuff like that. So I just recommend adding the working hours here, like, I don't know, the container, whatever. If it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., we can just leave it like that, or you can select your specific ones. Location, I personally don't use it. So yeah, I just leave this unspecified. I don't want to have there my location personally, but if you wanted to, you could add that. And if you have, let's just say 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then whatever, you go to the gym and then you come back at 2 p.m. and then you work until 7 p.m. Like you have a split, you can do something like that, or 4 p.m. Like just by clicking this plus button here. And then if you want to apply that to all of them, so you don't have to go to each day and then click this and then find the, fit the same time for all of them, you can just click copy to all and it automatically copies this to all of the days. So that's pretty much what I recommend doing, just enabling it and setting your working hours. And that's pretty much it. The last thing is for keyboard shortcuts. So if this was off and you tried using the S when I told you like you could get to the settings by pressing S, it's probably because of this. So I do recommend leaving this on. It just allows you to use your keyboard for some quick shortcuts. Like for example, as I said, if you're here and you click S, it takes you to settings. If you click here and you want to change the view to week, you click W, changes it to week. If you click D, changes it to day. So actually you can see the shortcuts here on the right. And if that thing is not enabled, it's not going to allow you to use the keyboard shortcuts. That could be really useful once you get used to it. Just, makes things like way faster and easier to use. So just like leaving this on. And that's pretty much it for the general settings. Then what you can do is you can go individually, like individual calendars. So if you scroll down here on the left, you're going to see the calendars that you'll have here. Right now, we only have the main one, and you can select specific settings for the individual calendars. So for example, the event notifications right now, if I'm not mistaken, by default, it should be 10 minutes or something like that. Yeah. So every time that you create an event, as you can see here, it says, I don't know if this is because it's a past one, but like for a new one, it says notification is going to send you a notification 10 minutes before the event. That is default, and here's where you can change it. Again, personally, I don't use notifications, so I prefer to just leave those off. But if you do like the notifications, you can select if you want to be notified in the Google app, in the desktop, or through email. And the way that you do that is just like adding a notification, and you can change here email, and it will send you an email. You select here if you want to get notified 10 minutes, 30 minutes, X days, X hours, whatever. But again, this is the default. So even if you leave all of this off, which I prefer, every time that I now go back and I create an event, it's not going to have that by default. But if I do want to get notified for a very specific event, you can just add the notification for that one specific event. And you can define if you want it to be an email or a notification. And you can here define in custom if you want email or notification, and by when would you like to be notified. So that's what you can do with the individual events. And just like the default, leaving it off here if you prefer so, or just define the default that works better for you. And then for the remaining settings for individual calendars, again, the way that you get here is you just scroll down here. So if you come to settings, I think by default, it's going to take you to the general settings, which we already fixed. So then for all of the individual calendars, once you have all of them, you'll see them here. You can just click on them. And pretty much you can select specific time zones for different calendars. And here you can define in terms of like the permissions for the events, if you want to make it available to the public and which level of permissions you're going to give them. Or in my case, available for Eduardo Lew, this is just like the organization, right? Because like I said, I have a paid Google Workspace and I create users. So I decide if I want to make it available for everyone in the organization, meaning that if someone with a different user comes in and this is toggled on, they could see all of the events that I have, and you can define if you want to for them to actually see the event details or only if you're free or busy. Meaning that if the event details are on, that means that if someone in the organization checks my calendar, like they can search here for people, you could see here if it literally says meeting with X person, if the details events are on. So actually I can, yeah, if the detailed events are on, and if this just says busy, free or busy, it will only say, oh, this block is taken. It just shows as busy, but it doesn't show you the actual event. So that's, again, personal preference if you do want for people in your organization, if you are using a paid workspace to see all the details or not. And then if you want your calendar information to be shown in other Google apps, and that's pretty much what this allows you to do. And if you want to share your calendar with someone else, you can just get a shareable link and send it to them, or you can add people directly here where it says shared with. You can add people here, which will give them access to your calendar. And then for notifications, what we just covered, and then all the event notifications. So if that was for individual events, but I don't know if you knew, but you can also have all day events like this one, and you would create an all-day event, and the notifications that you have here are for those all-day events, for example. So you can define if you want to be notified for those specifically or not, and then just play with the other notifications here. Again, you can define it for new events, change in events, canceled events, and guest event responses or daily agenda. If you want to be notified through email or you don't want to be notified, I do leaving this on so that it lets me know through email specifically, or especially for events that I have other people that I'm meeting with, if there were any changes, cancellations, or yeah, something like that. And the rest of the stuff, I don't think any of us need this, so don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, how you set up the calendar. So that's how you set it up. Now I'm just going to share a couple quick pro tips and tricks to use the calendar a bit more efficient. So the first one is the keyboard shortcuts. As you could see here, as I shared with you, if you click S, it takes you to settings. Just click here. If you click S in the keyboard, it takes you to settings. If you click ESC, it takes you back. If you click D, it takes you to the daily view. If you click W, it takes you to the weekly view. If you click X, it takes you to the custom view, which you can actually see the shortcuts here. And if you're here on the weekly view and you click G, it takes you to a specific date. So if you're like, oh, I remember something happened in whatever, May 14th, and I want to go back and look, instead of you having to come here and scroll the way back to where you were, you can just click G in your keyboard, and here you can just type May 14th, should work. There we go. And it takes you directly there. Well, this was 2026, so we can actually click G, May 14th, 2025. There we go. It takes you there. So again, just a quick shortcut. So another thing, as I already shared with you, once you have the world clock enabled, when you create a new event, the world clock automatically updates. So it makes it super useful to coordinate meetings across time zones. If you already created an event, it's very easy to just click and drag to move it around. Also, if you want to create a new event, you can just like, whenever, let's say you agree with someone, they're going to do something at 2 p.m., instead of having to come here and click create event or just click here once, there's two ways that you can click once, or you can literally just click somewhere. If you click once, it's going to create the event with the length that you have as a default in settings. So in this case, it's 60 minutes. But if, let's just say I just want to add like a 30-minute block here real quick at 2 p.m. my time, you can just click here and drag, and gives you the 30 minutes. So you can create new events by just clicking and dragging and select default times. So that's super useful as well. Another really cool feature or shortcut, if you're in a new tab and you want to create a new event, you can just tap cal.new, enter, and it automatically takes you to your calendar. It creates a new event. Also, you can select specific dates in your calendar. So if you want to see what happened in just like a span of 5 days, I'm like, oh, I want to check something that happened in, 2 weeks ago. You can literally come to this part of your calendar and you can just click and drag, and it's going to show you only those days specifically. So you can do that for a week, for just 3 weeks, for 2 weeks. So like you can play with the view. Again, you just come here, or one specific day, or 2 days, 4 days, so you can play with that. Another really cool feature. And another great thing that you can do, you can always, click today and it takes you back to the day. But right now, because we selected I think it's 5 days, it's showing me 5. But if I click W, it takes me back to the weekly view. You can duplicate events. So if you already have an event that you created and you want to create a new one from scratch, and you already set up, let's just say that it repeats on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and it doesn't end and at a specific time, and you want to create like something similar but at a different time, and you don't want to create another one from scratch, you can just come here, click here, duplicate, and then it duplicates the event. So then it's easier for you to just move it around And yeah, it would just allow you to do that way faster. And another thing that we recommend doing is adding meaningful names to the event so that you know what they're for. Super simple, but worth mentioning. Sometimes, again, we just want to leverage the calendar in the best possible way. The way to do that is if you're already logging in, you want to make sure that as soon as you log in, it immediately tells you everything you need to know without having to think a lot about it. So just adding meaningful events, super useful. Then when it comes to types of events, there's a bunch of different types of events here that you can add. So a specific event, which is what you just saw, where you can add, when you create a new event, you can add guests, you can add a location, you can add meetings, you can do a bunch of stuff like that, add notes, add documents. So that's an event. You can also add tasks, which again, this is a different tool, but it's like a specific task. Google Tasks is an amazing tool that you can see here. So if you don't know how to use it, you're interested in learning how to do that, just let me know in the comments and I'll create another tutorial just walking through how Google Tasks works, which is, in my opinion, amazing, super useful tool for productivity. And it integrates incredible with Google Calendar, but you can create tasks from Google Calendar directly. You can create like an out of office type of event if you're going to be out. If you select this, it automatically declines all of the meetings. You can set it up. Focus time is like a specific block that doesn't invite anyone, and it just like has some really cool features. Let's just see, like you can enable or toggle if you want to not be disturbed and automatically decline meetings and have a specific location. So it just like literally blocks it and just shows it to you as a deep focus or work block. And working location appointment schedule, if you're, I mean, this is like similar to Calendly where you can send links to people so that they can book directly. I personally don't love it. I don't use it. I prefer Calendly way more. So I'm not going to do a in-depth look at this because most people that I know also prefer Calendly over this, but just to know, it's good to know that you have this feature in Google Calendar. And yeah, that's pretty much the types of events. And cool feature that I do want to point out that it is only included in the Pro subscriptions or in the Pro Google Workspace accounts is the time insights. So if you click here, right now I don't have labels, but a really cool feature is that it allows you to create labels with specific colors. So instead of just having colors, which a lot of people know they can do in the events when you have the free account, you just click here and right now it just has colors. But when you have a Pro or a paid version, it allows you to actually add labels to the colors. So for example, you can name this thing just like deep work, and this could be meetings. So if you go here, quick tip on how you can, or shortcut on how you can change the color, you can just right click on the event and you click a label. You can select if just this event or following event. This is a recurring one. And then this one, just select this. So to show you the example. So then if you come here to time insights, it shows you, and this is why it was important to also set the working hours on, because it allows you to see from all of the working hours that you have available, which in this case, I think I just left on, what was it? 9 to, let's just see real quick. 9 to 12 and then 4 to 7. So since right now we have set up the working hours from 9 to 12 and 4 to 7, which is 6 hours per day. So that's 30 hours per week. That's what this basically means. Like all of the time that has not been like blocked or planned based on the working hours, it tells you how much you have available, how much is spent on the things that you labeled as meetings, on deep work. So once you're like fully leveraging Google Workspace and you have all of your calendar here, it's super useful. I can actually show you a quick example of mine. So here's a quick example from August 2023, just using this example, referencing this because at that time I was working on one of the programs that I had back then, and I didn't have a lot of meetings, which I didn't want to show a lot of those. But pretty much, yeah, when you have all of your calendar fully mapped out, and I know that this is going to give some people a heart attack, and some people are going to be like, hopefully surprised about it in a good way. When you have a calendar like this and you're able to learn how to use it, which I'm going to walk through that in a different video because yeah, there's a bunch of things you want to put in place to find a calendar that works well like this. And yeah, this video is just specifically for settings, but just to show you, once you're leveraging your calendar in this way, how useful the time insights are. Like the thing is that here I changed, I mean, this was back in August 2023. So I did change the labels recently. So some of these things don't reflect all of the stuff that I have right now, but pretty much you could tell, oh, so in this specific week, I spent 20 hours in recovery or meals stuff, this amount of time in deep work, this amount of time exercising, this amount of time in meetings, this amount of time in strategy stuff, personal, one-on-one clients, commuting, learning, reactive work, busy work. So again, like this is not actually accurate to what I have today because what I was doing back then changed, but this is just a quick example of how the Pro feature with time insights, how you can leverage that a lot once you have that like fully set up. So it is just something that I do recommend having, especially if you have a pro cool workspace. It's super useful, especially to, I mean, you want to have feedback loops, right? And you can go back if a specific week worked great. You want to look into what worked well, what didn't work well, and like just gives you, again, like it allows you to make improvements. If you track things, it's way easier to optimize and for your routine, your time. So it allows me to go back and be like, oh, I spent way too much time on meetings this last week, which is why I wasn't able to make progress on like the stuff that was supposed to be deep work. So you can make adjustments, super useful. So yeah, that's a really cool feature. And this is turning out into a longer video than I expected, but hopefully that helped you to understand like at least the basics of how to set it up. So if you would like for me to make a more advanced training on how to like use more advanced features like the pro features and like how to add add-ons like Zoom so that you can add them to your meetings and stuff like that, let me know in the comments below and I'll create that so I don't make this one like super long. So that's pretty much how you set up your calendar for success. And if you want to see a live breakdown and example on how to build your routine and use this tool once it is set up, make sure to check this video where I will walk you through my process of setting up my routine for maximum productivity and peak performance, where I will show exactly how I use my calendar as I launch and scale a new coaching business, plan my wedding and get in shape, all without dropping the ball. You'll find that video linked here somewhere in the screen and in the description below. And if you'd like a full tutorial on how to set up Google Workspace with your own domain to unlock the pro features that I showed today, which I highly recommend, also let me know in the comments below and I'll create that for you. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Eduardo Lew and I help online coaches scale their businesses profitably without burning out. The goal is pretty simple: help coaches maximize the return on every dollar, hour, and ounce of energy that they invest in their business. And we do that by installing profit and performance systems, execution frameworks, and providing one-on-one support so they can keep more money, work fewer hours, and maximize their outputs. I am a certified peak performance coach recognized by the International Coaching Federation, a certified profit first professional, and a Fix This Next advisor with over 5 years of experience and more than 3,000 hours of coaching. And I've had the privilege of working with more than 400 online founders across the globe, from 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs in multiple niches to internal roles inside fast-growing companies. I've led the back-end operations and client success for a 7-figure infra product business doing $200K per month with a team of just 6 members, where I was managing over 200 clients myself. And I've led an appointment setting team that booked 30 plus qualified calls per week and helped increase the company's revenue by 600%. If you're an online coach serious about building a profitable, high-performing business without burning yourself to the ground, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. I'll be sharing actionable strategies to help you increase profit, boost performance, and ensure that none of your resources are wasted, while also documenting my journey, scaling my company, and sharing the lessons that I learned along the way. Thank you for your time, energy, and attention, and I will see you in the next one.